Good evening to all of my brothers and sisters across the connection of the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. We invite you and welcome you, in fact, to the 6th District's presentation for this evening. Instead of my giving a meditation or devotional, I thought I would do something better. So we've invited various women of the 6th District to come and share with us this evening in light of the fact that March is Women's Emphasis Month, and in light of the theme being valiant women with a vote, refusing to be silent. And so tonight, perk up and hear these women speak to us who refuse in these times, even a pandemic time, to be silent. Hear ye them now.
Greetings to Bishop Brown and Dr. Brown, and thank you for this opportunity to moderate this panel this evening. To my brothers and sisters of the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, thank you for tuning in. You are all in for a treat from this dynamic group of women from across all 4 regions of the 6th Episcopal District as they share with us how they envision the roles of women in the future of our church. So we're going to jump right in with Dr. Kim Ezekiel. Dr. Ezekiel is a proud member of Everett Temple CME Church in Tifton, Georgia, where she has served as the church secretary for the past 38 years. Dr. Ezekiel is the past president of the South Georgia Region Missionary Society. Dr. Ezekiel.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you, Bishop Brown, for asking me to provide my perspective. I can't speak to the future of women in the church without first reflecting on the past. Women have always been outnumbered men in the pews, yet they've rarely been seen in the pulpit. While their extensive and significant contributions have been only known primarily as lay leaders and not as religious heads of churches. As we focus for a few minutes on the role of women in the church, there are 3 terms that summarizes my vision: intentionality, visibility, and leadership. Women will become more intentional in the way that they recognize and utilize God's given gifts. Women will take on a more pivotal role in modeling the deliberate, intentional challenge to serve the present age and to do the Master's will. As women serve more intentionality, they will spotlight their shared role as equal servants of God and provide greater clarity for those who currently dominate earthly positions of authority in the church. We will acquire the titles for the jobs that we have been performing for years. Serving with more intentionality creates more visibility, and both will help propel women into positions of leadership in all areas of the church. As I close, I would like to say that the evolution of the role of women in the church is progressing, and we welcome this progress as the pandemic has confirmed that we are limitless in our approach, in our outreach, in our connectivity, and our ability to share God's word. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ezekiel. Thank you for reminding us that women can be intentional, visible, and have strong leadership. Our next panelist this evening will be Ms. Valerie Alexander. Ms. Alexander is a 4th-generation member of the CME Church and has been a member of our Zion for over 45 years. She has been employed with Columbus State University for 24 years, and Sister Alexander is a proud member of the Hosey Chapel CME Church in Columbus, Georgia. Sister Alexander.
Thank you so much, Sister Paige. And thank you, Bishop Brown, for this awesome opportunity and such a timely conversation with it being Women's History Month and highlighting the contributions of women. So to first start, I'd like to highlight our church's vision statement, And we say that we are to be a transforming church for Jesus the Christ within a changing world. I emphasize changing world. So just a couple of points with that in mind. Women are and have been the greatest, or at least one of the greatest assets in our CME Church. Previously, we typically served mostly in supportive roles. We did a lot of cooking in the kitchen and teaching Sunday school, serving on the stewardess board and the missionary societies, albeit extremely valuable roles. But no more are we satisfied with just sitting quietly in the corner, submissive. Yes, we've made some excellent strides in that we've got our first female presiding prelate in Bishop Teresa Jefferson Snorton. Yes, we have numerous female presiding elders across our connection. In fact, one of our panel members is the Sixth Episcopal District's first female presiding elder, Elder Jane E. Thomas. Women have a voice. We have ideas, we have thoughts, and because we're serving in leadership roles in the private sector and government and education, we bring funds to the table as well. So we deserve and we need a seat at our CME table. We need another CME bishop that's a female. We need more women in leadership roles to make sure that we're counted. Both men and women have been called to work in the church, of course, although not necessarily so much for women being approved in the New Testament initially, but we want to make sure that we allow our up and coming young women a seat at the table. We need to let them know that they have room for growth in our Zion, such as our sister, Dwayna Thomas, who's about to complete her post-secondary education. We need to make sure that avenues are available to permission women for leadership roles in our connection. In closing, I do love traditions, and I especially love our CME traditions, but if we're not careful, we'll allow our church to die by those same traditions, and we don't want to see that. Thank you.
And thank you, Sister Alexander, for bringing it to the forefront that women need a seat at the table in this ever-changing world. So thank you very much for that. Our next panelist is Miss Dwayna Thomas. And Miss Thomas is our young adult representative on the panel today. Dwayna is a graduating senior majoring in biology at the Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia. She is the proud daughter of the Reverend Edwin and Reverend Phyllis Thomas, who are the co-pastors of Rock Hill CME Church, Temple Chapel CME Church, Mount Calvary CME Church, and Collins Chapel CME Church. Dwayna.
Greetings, everyone. Growing up, I always heard the unpleasantries about women not being able to be in the pulpit, that they cannot speak their truth and be a vessel for the gospel. I wish those same individuals had realized that women are the foundation and the backbone of this church. We are more than just PKs. We are more than just preachers' wives, and we are more than mothers of the church. We are trailblazers. We are ground shakers. And when we are not given a seat at the table, we take one, we demand one, and we ask for anyone and everyone to hear our voices. We are crucial to the future of this church and its evolution. Without women and their help, where will we be in this time? Thank you.
And thank you, Dwayna, for reminding us that women in the church are trailblazers. Our next panelist is the Reverend Dr. Rosalind Mafico. Dr. Mafico is a retired educator and an ordained elder in the CME Church. And during her 20 years as an ordained elder, she has served as a hospital and hospice chaplain, an assistant pastor, an associate pastor, and a senior pastor. Currently, Dr. Mafico is serving as a workshop facilitator for the CME Church and has been in the ministry as a pastoral counselor. She is a member of the Linden Short CME Church in Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Rosalind Mafico.
Greetings, everyone, and thank you so very much for this opportunity, Bishop Brown, to share my thoughts on what I envision for the church in the future. When I first joined the CME Church 12 years ago, I had completed seminary, and I was so excited about the new possibilities I was about to experience as a clergy member. And I am speaking primarily to clergy or about clergy this evening. I envision always the role of women who form the majority of the CME Church to bring about positive change in the denomination, in areas of worship, mission, and drawing young people back into our church because there are so many needs. Regarding our future, I see that the balance of women should be in roles as bishops and district leaders. And I also see women engaging in ministries beyond pastoring and preaching, but being affirmed by the existing leaders to use their various gifts that they have trained so very well for within and outside the walls of our local churches. Therefore, emulating Jesus's ministry of caring for all of God's people in every walk of life. And so it is my prayer that in the future, women will lead, again, not just in the pulpit, but throughout our denomination. Thank you, and God bless.
And thank you, Dr. Masico. Our last, but certainly not least, panelist this evening is Presiding Elder Jane Elizabeth Thomas. Elder Thomas has been an active member of the CME ministry for the past 32 years. She was the first female presiding elder in the Sixth Episcopal District, appointed by retired Bishop Othel Hawthorne Lakey. Elder Thomas was the first female president of the Presiding Elders Council, and in her own words, she's just blessed to serve our church. Presiding Elder Thomas.
Although our church has throughout history been involved in seeking justice and equality for African Americans, the inequality of women within the walls of our church remains an unresolved real-time issue. The roles of women in our church are marginalized in relations to privilege and power, which equates to being stereotyped. Yet, the programs and ministries of our church are rarely disproportionate on women and their support and their success. Still, full participation of women in our church remains elusive. And the reason justice seems so elusive in our church today is because of the free will to follow the Lord's principles of justice or not. Without question or debate, women have always been the backbone of our church. As a presiding elder who happens to be a woman and effective of 15 years, there are occasions in where I have to ask clergy and lay, male and female, to alter their voice tone. I envision our church recognizing the existence of the glass ceiling for women and aligning more fully with a kingdom vision of gender-blind leadership in our great Zion. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Thomas, and thanks to all of our panelists. It is our prayer that you have received something from this rich dialogue of women from across the Sixth Episcopal District, providing their perspectives on women in the church. And I think that we can all take away that in this ever-changing world, that women in our Zion are important, they're intentional, they're visible, they're leaders, they're trailblazers, and they're strong foundations. Thank you again for joining us. Bishop Brown.
Thank you, Sister Page, and thank you, panelists, for wonderful presentations here this evening. Now you have it, 5 voices of valiant women of faith sharing their vision of the future of women in our church. Their voices, their visions deserve our hearing, for they speak the truth that often as men we will not speak. But they, being valiant women, smart, strong, courageous, determined, yes, and brave women of faith, have spoken to us here this evening. Let us tell the Lord thank you and hallelujah for what a wonderful time we are having here hearing these panelists speak. God bless you.